What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with the final episode of the South Louisiana Dynasty here on Maximum Football, featuring that PS5, of course. We're out here, man. I wanted to show how the custom recruits did. You know, we're going to sim a few seasons. If we go to a bowl game, go to some championship games, I'll show that here. Should be a somewhat lengthy episode. I'm certainly excited for it. And if you're excited to see how your custom prospects turned out, as well as how the South Louisiana team does in the simulation, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You have to be brand new. We may be done with this series here soon, but we got some quality series in the pipeline that I know you guys are going to enjoy. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's see what we got going on. First, let's go ahead and try to see the stats for our guys for this past season. So check it out, what we got going on in terms of stats. We got to talk about our passing first. Damian Anderson, we did ask him to throw the football all that much. 96 for 193, a completion percentage just a shade under 50%. It is a little bit better than what it was last year, but that being said, 2,500 yards passing still despite all that. 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Also had a long of 87 yards. And dude even had a pretty good passer rating. A passer rating of 120. That was a pretty good passing percentage. Just taking a look at the passer ratings throughout the course of the season. I mean, it was up there, man. It was up there in that top echelon of guys. Like it, top 10, top 15 quarterbacks. So Damian Anderson, by no means a starting caliber or a quarterback in the NFL, but he did his job for us in our run-heavy offense. Then we got our other guys that did. This rushing attack was absolutely electric. I mean, what is there to be said? You know, Matt Looney tore up college football. 268 carries, 3,500 yards rushing. 43 touchdowns to go with it as well. This man was an absolute monster throughout the course of the year. Derek Niang, who did end up graduating, 13 carries, 71 yards, also chipped in with 2 touchdowns as well. And then we got a couple of guys that recovered some fumbles for us. Ben Blue ended up with a carry. Damian Anderson was pretty good on the ground too. He ended up with over 1,000 yards on the ground. 1,300 yards rushing, 19 touchdowns. The dude had more than 50 touchdowns combined, as well as, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, close to 4,000 total yards. So Damian Anderson, a very important part of our offense as well. And we still have him for one more year. That's the crazy part. With that being said, we did know that this was a team that did not necessarily pass the football very much, but that, you know, it doesn't show justice to the guys that, you know, really went out there and did some great work for us passing that football. Leading the way in terms of receptions, we got Willie Robertson. He was a custom recruit in his freshman year. 18 catches, 604 yards, and 4 TDs. Nate Ross, who is going to leave the team, 17 catches, 86, and 10 touchdowns. He got in the end zone half the time we gave this man the football. Davey Smalls got some good looks as well, 374 and 4 TDs. Jacob Michaels, he was fun to watch this year as well. 16 catches, 434, and 6 TDs in this one. Tyler Tucker had 15 catches as well to go with it. And then Jartavius Ferguson, he was a guy that wasn't necessarily that much heralded, but he did have 8 catches, 174 yards, and 3 TVs in his true freshman campaign. So, I mean, solid team. It's a solid receiving core. We will probably still continue with the run heavy. I'll have to see how the simulation treats us. We'll have to see how that goes. So what was drastically different between how season 1 went and how season number 2 went for us as well is just our ability to go ahead and make stops on defense. I mean, just to see how things were going for us. Gerald Perry, he was a sophomore for us. They have progressed everybody for a year already. Led the team in tackles, 94 tackles, 14 sacks to go with it as well. It was just a great defensive effort. 14 sacks, interceptions, 1 defensive touchdown to go with it as well. Jordan Warren's also chipped in. with a ton of tackles, 88 tackles, 8 sacks, interception, and a touchdown to go with it as well. Other players that did end up with 50-plus tackles is Andre Royal with 54 tackles, 7 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns. Osman Regel also did some really great work, 51 tackles and 3 INTs to go with it. Lonnie Connor had 56 tackles and 12 sacks. All in all, this was a great defense, but again, it's just going to be one of those things where we're going to find out real quick how good this defense really is now that we are going to a simulation base for these next few seasons, at least to take care of the custom recruits that are on this team. So before we go ahead and get ourselves into training camp, this was what we got. We got 25 points, you guys. And I think I like how it is going to be. Want to go ahead and focus on that physical training, skill, speed, strength. Having all those points to work with, we should see some huge improvement across the board as we get ready to transition into season number 3. So on paper, it doesn't look like our roster is really that much better. To be honest with you, we only have 2 guys over 80 overall. That's Matt Looney and Ben Blue. But we do have some pretty solid freshmen. AJ Byers is up in here. He's a 77 overall already. Chris Senior, he's a 77 overall as well. It's going to include a great receiving core that we got going on. We also have Lamar Diamenti, defensive back. He's a 76. And then Damian Anderson, they got him at a 75. It looks like seems like they didn't really improve that much, even though we had like all of those points. So that's a little bit disappointing, but we do have a pretty good recruiting class that can step in and they can try to contribute for this team right away. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. So this is what our starting lineup is going to be looking like. We will have Damian Anderson back at the quarterback position. We will also have Matt Looney starting for us as our starting tailback. Tremaine Thompson, he's going to slip in as the number 2 running back with Tony Ford sitting right behind him. Then at tight end, we are going to be pretty weak at tight end this year. We have Zach Harrison and Blake Simmons, but they're less than 70 overall. Offensive line, we got a pretty solid group here as well. Might be a little weak on that left-hand side, but we do have a pretty experienced group overall with 4 juniors and seniors. We do have 1 freshman offensive lineman that will be starting. That's Frank Gilbert. For the receiving core, we know that receiving core is going to be absolutely legit this upcoming season. We got Jake Michaels and Willie Robertson as our number 1 and 2 receivers. We do also have Chris Senior, Jartavius Ferguson, Carl Gentry, and another freshman in Ryan LeGrand. Which takes us to the defensive side of the football. We got some experience on this offensive line for sure. 5 of our 6 starters gonna be seniors, so we will need to replace those defensive linemen quickly. We will still have guys like Gerald Perry coming back. We'll have Jordan Lawrence and Lonnie Connor returning as well, with the addition of AJ Byers, who seems like our best linebacker already, even better than Gerald Perry, and they were both really good. Defensive backfield, we'll see Ike Gatson as the number 1 cornerback for the team now, but Lamar Diamante gonna be the number 2 DB real quick. We will also see IT Thomas in there at DB number 2. And then still at that safety position, we got Osman Regel, only a 70 overall. He played a lot better than his overall, I will say that. And then, of course, we have our punter in Kevin Putney, who, as you've seen throughout the series, we've hardly used. We will have Jake Michaels handle the kick return duties for both the kickoffs and the punts. And then our kicker still is Ben Blue, who is the highest rated player on our team. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and go into the season free sim. Let's see how our guys do throughout the season. Alright guys, so we just finished simulating season number 3, and we've definitely fell back to earth quite a bit. 6-6 was our final record. It was one of those days where we kind of went back and forth. We won against Richmond, then we go lose against Rocky Mountain. We lost big against Philadelphia, 35-0. Do end up blowing out the Tampa Bay Stallions as well as the Dallas Roosters. And then we also pulled the upset on Maryland Academy. I thought that was the point we were going to get our season back on track. Maybe go to a conference championship game, but losses to Blues Capital, losses to our rival North Louisiana, kind of did us in. We just couldn't get that season back on track. So we finished with a 6-6 record. So how about that? With a falling down to earth, going from a national champion to not even making a bowl game. In Damian Anderson's last season as the starting quarterback for us as well, he kind of underwhelmed. 111 for 196, so similar number of passes that we had last year, but 59% completion percentage, 1,300 yards passing, only had 1 touchdown pass and 9 interceptions. So definitely not a good look for us whatsoever, and a big reason why we fell down to earth. Just was not efficient with those turnovers, with that touchdown to interception ratio. And then to top that off as well, we didn't even have anybody that rushed for 1,000 yards. Matt Looney led the team in rushing yards, but 879 yards and 7 TDs, so he took a major step back. Tony Ford, he ended up with 12 carries, 104 yards as well, 6 TDs to go with it. And then Damian Anderson, who did graduate, only 92 yards and touchdowns. So only 2 touchdowns, but then also ended up with 9 interceptions as well. As for our receivers, man, it was not a great look for our receivers. We did have Chris Senior as a true freshman lead the team in receiving yards, and as well as catches, had 29 catches, 330 yards on the day. But I mean, it was just a tough year for us. I mean, the only person that caught a touchdown pass, that was Willie Robertson, but only 22 catches, 273 yards. So definitely took a step back as a team. Hopefully when we go ahead and move ourselves into year number 4, that things get a little better across the board. I am curious to see what our defense was looking like, so I'm going to scroll down real quick, and I'll get back to you guys to see how our defense is doing. Alright, so we finally made it all the way down, and I wish this is something that they address. Go ahead and, you know, just show the stats for my guys. I don't need the stats for the entire league, you know what I'm saying? But that being said, Jordan Lawrence, you know, was a bright spot, 58 tackles on the season. But actually, AJ Byers was really good as well. I thought he led the team in tackles, but that's not the case. It was actually AJ Byers as a freshman, 59 tackles, 4 pass defenses, so he dropped the football 4 times. Let's see here. We got I.T. Thomas with an interception. Ike Gatson only played in 5 games, only had 4 tackles, 2 pass defense. So that's a little bit promising. And then looks like one of our other custom recruits that was more notable, he did not play either. I can't remember his name off the top of my head either, but yeah, it was a rough year for us. But only thing left to do now, go to season number 4 and hope for better days, man. That's all we got to say about that. Alright, man, so season number 4 is here, and we might have some growing pains. I'm not going to lie to you guys. We got Jamal Jackson starting at quarterback for us. The sophomore redshirt is going to get an opportunity, but only a 62 overall. It could certainly get ugly. We do still have Matt Looney on the squad, and we do also have Tremaine Thompson, although I'm actually going to go ahead and switch these two. So now Tremaine Thompson will be the second running back. They have a fullback, so I wanted to get him some more carries. Tight end, we at least have a tight end at 70 overall or higher. That's a big deal for us because we need some guys that are better as tight ends. We use our tight ends quite a lot in our offense. Offensive line is at least looking solid. It is a younger group. We have 3 freshmen on the offensive line. The only senior that we got, Preston Waters, who is our best offensive lineman. So definitely going to be some growing pains on the offensive side of the football. But our receivers, we at least have a solid set of receivers. Jake Michaels, Willie Robertson, Chris Senior's looking pretty solid. And then we also add Jamie Trammell with that group as well on top of it. So it should be a solid group at wide receiver at the very least. Might be the strength of our offense. Meanwhile, on the defensive side of the ball, we might be just running a bunch of 3-4s because we only have 3 decent linemen. Mario Mayers, he's our best. He was actually a 5-star guy that we ended up signing. He's going to be our best defensive lineman. Then we do also have Cameron Werner, who's a freshman, and then Mitch Tonoi, who we signed during season 2. he'll be with the team as well. Linebackers, we still have, of course, AJ Byers, Gerald Perry. So, again, going to be running free 4, I think, quite a lot. That's what I would hope. Then we got guys like Ike Gatson. We do have I.T. Thompson. And then Osmond Regel kind of fell off a little bit. He's out there at safety free. So going to be in there in those diamond nickel passes. I didn't see him a lot in the stats, so hopefully that changes as well. And then, of course, after this season, we'll need to get a punter. We need a punter, and then we'll also go ahead and get ourselves a kicker. Again, Ben Blue, I'm pretty sure, is going to be our best player on this team. Let me go and check his roster real quick. See, make sure my eyes don't deceive. No, actually, I'm wrong. Matt Looney is our best player. He's at 83. But we do have 2 more players at 80 plus overall. So hopefully that does mean, you know, a little bit better of a season. Let's see if we finish with a winning record and maybe go to a bowl game. But not exactly holding my breath either. Alright, boys. So while we did not make it to the conference championship game once again, we do at least finish 8-4, and that was good enough for us to go ahead and go to the ACSA Train Bowl. We're going to take on the Central Kentucky Broncos. And look at our overalls across the board. You know, we really haven't shown that much improvement. Recruiting was a little tough for us in year 3. Should be better in year 4. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But 74 overall, 74 offense, 73 defense. Central Kentucky's got a 75 overall squad with a 77 offense and a 73 defense. And since we did make it to a bowl game, I do want to show that to you guys. So I'll go ahead, show you the highlights of that. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and see if we can go ahead and win this ACSA Train Bowl for us here, man. So let's go ahead and get the ACSA Train Bowl officially underway. As Holden will drop back the pass, he finds Jermaine Sinor, who fumbles the football, though, and is going to end up being recovered by Central Kentucky. And it's not exactly how we wanted to go about starting that bowl game, but we're still here in the second half. Nobody has really scored yet, but that being said, though, we will see an interception by Ramsey, and that should set us up with some really good field position to work with. Let's see if we can actually take advantage of it and finally get some points on the board here in this third quarter. But it's not looking good for us, though, as we got 3rd and 6 coming up here. Gonna be trusting this true freshman at quarterback, Bob Helden. We'll see if he can make a play for us. He finds his receiver down the right-hand side. It's Tremaine Thompson, the custom recruit, who comes through and makes the catch. And we're closing in on the red zone. Howden trying to get away from the pressure, but he does end up getting sacked on that play. Didn't even have time to process what was going on. And now, 3rd and long. Howden making some adjustments at the line of scrimmage. Bunch set on the right-hand side. Howden dropping back, looking over to the left-hand side. Nearly intercepted, but it will at least set up a field goal attempt for Ben Blue. He's been a really darn good kicker for us throughout this series. He's going to kick this one out. Ends up being a 45-yarder, but no problem for him whatsoever. That field goal attempt is going to be good. And we're up 3-0 here. Only got 1 more quarter left to play. We'll see if we can hang on here as Crew makes the catch for Central Kentucky down the sideline. It is good for a first down. And the Broncos marching downfield. Johnson throwing down the right-hand side. Finds Butchett down the sideline once again. And he's going to be finding himself in the red zone. Unless we can get that turnover in the red zone from our defense, it does seem like this game will at least end up being tied after this possession. Although they will have to settle for a field goal. Let's see if this kicker has ice in the veins. 34-yard attempt. It's up, and it's going to be good. And this game actually does end up going into overtime. Tied up at 3 apiece. We have ourselves a real barn burner, if I say so myself. as we start with the ball here in this first overtime. Heldon just absolutely swallowed up, and we have to settle for a field goal attempt ourselves. Don't like that whatsoever. Would have preferred the touchdown, especially since we did get the ball first to start this overtime. So we really do need to go ahead and make sure our defense comes through on this possession. Let's see if they can do it here as Johnson dropping back, facing some pressure, trying to get away. He does, but there's a holding penalty on Central Kentucky, and it backs them up a little bit. So now they're actually just a little bit outside of field goal range. Johnson looking to change that, finds Halls downfield, and it's gonna almost end up being a first down. So now 2nd and 2. Johnson looking over the right hand side. Oh, he had a touchdown. I'm so glad that he at least dropped that. Keep the dream alive for us, at least force a second overtime. As now Johnson looking to go. Looks like a 5-wide set. Johnson, actually it's a quarterback draw. He's got space to work with and ends up going ahead and picking up that first down. As now 2nd and 8. Johnson gonna hand it off to Dansby, who will find some space to work with. Ends up being corralled down eventually, but a 3rd and short coming up for the Broncos. As now 3rd and 3. Let's see if they run with the football again. Only 6 men in the box for the South Louisiana Saints. Johnson looking for that and more. Gonna be marked down at the 1-yard line. And just 1 yard away from this game being over, and Dansby coming through with the dagger. And how about this? A defensive slugfest in our first bowl game since winning the national championship game in season number 2. And it ends in defeat. We lose the ACSA Train Bowl by a score of 9-6 to end year 4. So we do go ahead and check out the stats for season number 4, as it does turn out our starting quarterback, at least we planned on starting, got hurt, so didn't even attempt a single pass this season. So that does mean we ran with Bobby Heldon the entire season, 6'2", 293-pound guy. And for a freshman, you know, he did what he could, right? 1,400 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, threw 15 interceptions. So we got to get that touchdown interception ratio a little bit more under control, but I do like what he potentially does bring as a runner. And listen, he was above 50% completion percentage. At least he had that going for him. Could have been worse. And speaking of running, I mean, Bobby Heldon did show some flashes out there, you know. Ended up with 12 carries, 62 yards, and a tub. But the leading rusher for us, Matt Looney, had a little bit of a bounce back year. Had almost 1,000 yards on the ground this season. 180 carries, 969 yards, and 13 TDs. Chad Toloa did also get some carries at the running back position. 128 carries, 526 yards, and a single touchdown to his name as well. For our receiving core, we did end up seeing a little bit better luck, but we only had 2 players with more than 20 catches over the course of the whole season. Chris Senor was one of them. The junior did end up with the most catches on the team. He did end up with 28 catches for 325 yards, both of which did lead our guys overall. Then Willie Robertson was behind him, the only other person that had more than 20 catches this season. 22 catches, 286 yards, but he only had 1 touchdown. Jamie Trammell, who was a true freshman for us, he did end up finding the end zone multiple times, led us in terms of touchdown catches. 14 catches, 304 yards, and 3 TDs. And then Jake Michaels was also able to find the end zone multiple times this year. 17 catches, 190 yards, and 2 touchdowns over the course of season number 4. And then finally, we do end up getting to our defensive players over the course of the season. And we say goodbye to some key guys such as Anthony Emery, Gerald Perry. He was a huge force for us over the course of the series. We also say goodbye to Braxton Ramsey as well to go with it. Andre Rowell, It. Thomas is going to be entering his senior year now. Lonnie Connor is going to be graduating the squad as well. So definitely some new faces on defense that we'll need to replace. But that being said, though, AJ Byers did end up leading the team in tackles once again. Over the course of season 4, he did have 52 tackles. No sacks or interceptions, but did end up with 3 pass defense. In terms of sack leaders, we had a few guys get to his quarterback multiple times, but it was led by Cameron Werner, who was a true freshman that got on the field. 6 sacks for him over the course of the season. BJ Kennedy got 4 sacks as well. Mitch Taola got 4 sacks, and then we did also see Mario Myers get to his quarterback multiple times to go with it. And then, of course, Braxton Ramsey, he was our leading interceptions guy. He had 4 interceptions over the course of the season. BJ Kennedy had a couple to go with it. It. Thomas, our junior defensive back, he got an interception to his name as well. Lonnie Connor. And then, of course, Mario Myers and Anthony Emery were also able to find ways to get interceptions as well. So, that being said, we'll go ahead and get closer to the preseason for year 5, where I'll show what our lineup for year 5 is going to be looking like for that as well. Alright, boys, so we did make it to the preseason for year number 5, the last year of this 3-year sim that we got going on, and this is what our starting lineup ends up going to be looking like. At quarterback, we have a new quarterback, DeMarcus Bell, who really got himself separated from the rest of the pack in camp. Went from the 3rd string quarterback last year to now our starting QB. That's just how atrocious we have been at quarterback. But at the running back position, we got a couple of solid guys. Chad Denola is going to be the starter with Tremaine Thompson. Going to be that second running back for the team. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and flip that with Brown, so that way Tremaine Thompson will look a little bit higher on the depth chart. He is a 74 overall, but that 95 speed, that would be insane. Tight ends, we're still pretty down bad at tight end. We got Blake Simmons and Zach Harrison, but while they got a bunch of size, they're not exactly the most talented players. Offensive line is looking pretty solid, though. We got some good players the last couple of recruiting classes, and that's starting to go into fruition. Don't know how much effect that will have this year, but I really would love this offensive line in the future. And then receivers, probably still the strength of our offense. We got Jake Michaels. We got Chris Senior. Willie Robertson still on the team as well. Jamie Trammell is a beast. Jartavius Ferguson's pretty solid too. I love this receiving core. Our top 5 to 6 receivers looking really good. And then on the defensive side of the ball, not as fantastic. We do have Cameron Werner as well as Mitch Tanoa, but beyond that, we don't really have a ton of depth right now on the defensive line. Same thing could be said for linebacker outside of AJ Byers and Alvin Hopper. We do have Fletcher McLean and Jabril Black starting, but again, not very talented guys. And particularly Jabril Black, he might be exposed a little bit because he is only a 55 speed at that outside linebacker position. For the defensive backfield, we do have Ike Gatson, who's now an 80 overall. He's a senior on this squad. Do have Amar Diamante. Then we got It. Thomas as well, 75 overall guy. He's going to be stepping in at that starting defensive back position. Followed by Osmond Rigel, who didn't really progress much past his freshman year, but he is a pretty solid player. I like him, so he's going to be sticking around in the starting lineup. And then, of course, we do have some new special teams guy. We do have Jack Johnson, who is a starting punter. For kickoffs, that will be handled by Don Trary DeQuasit, who is only a 56 overall, so he's only going to be doing the kickoff duties. And then for field goal, we will have Shaq Johnson handling those field goals for the team. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and simulate to the end of season 5. I will obviously show some gameplay if we do make it to either the conference championship game or a bowl game. We'll end up seeing what happens. Hopefully we can have a pretty decent finish for this episode. So I'll catch back with you guys when I'm done with that. Alright, y'all, so while we did not make it to that conference championship game once again, we do get at least another bowl appearance. We are going this time to the MGN Sports Bowl. We will end up taking on the Salt Lake City Parrots, who I believe are from the Big Pacific Conference. So, by the way, if you're enjoying this, make sure you go ahead, smash that like button for me. Hit subscribe as well if you have to be brand new. Salt Lake City does not look that good. 69 overall. Nice. 67 offense, 70 defense. We got better ratings, so hopefully we can go ahead and see if for our final game of this series, we can win the MGN Sports Bowl and go ahead and wrap things up. Wrap this series up on a high note. So buckle up here. We'll see what our boys can do in the MGN Sports Bowl. All right, man. So we got some MGN Sports Bowl action here. Let's see if we can finish this series on a high note. Get a bowl win for the South Louisiana faithful as we try to convert on this 3rd and 6. Donnie Bell dropping back. He's going to find Simmons down the left-hand side. He's got some speed to him now. Able to get across that 40-yard line for a first down. And I love that we're going in these 5 receiver looks simply because Donnie Bell, he's got a little speed on him. Not to mention the wide receiver core that we got going on is the strength of this team. But Tanoa can make some good runs too. He gets a nice run out there over on that right-hand side. Gets some nice little yardage there. Leads to a 3rd and short as we'll go with Tanoa again. He's going to get us across that 15-yard line. And more importantly, pick up the first down for us too. Is now 1st and 10. Bell dropping back, looking over the left-hand side. We find Senor in the end zone. Touchdown, Saints. And we take the initiative, take that lead. We're going to be up 7-0, baby. And so, 7-0 lead that we get to work with. Let's see if our defense can also go ahead and rise to the occasion as well, as Parker will drop back the pass. He's looking for somebody to throw to. He's actually going to scramble, but he fumbles the football, and A.J. Byers lands on the ball for us. And while we couldn't get any points there on that specific drive, we at least set a tone on our defense. We still got that shutout going. Let's see if we can put a little bit more on the points on the board. As Tremaine Thompson, he's down the sideline. He's not going to be caught. Touchdown, Saints. And the South Louisiana squad jumps up to a 14-0 lead. Not to mention that we do get to work with the ball here in this second half as well. So we get a ball, we get the score at the end of the first half. We can score again here to start this second half. Oh baby, it's going to be barbecue chicken, especially when Simmons gets open the way that he does. I told you he's a speedster. Stop playing with him. Another touchdown for the South Louisiana Saints, and it's quickly turning into a rout as we got a 21-0 lead here, man. And we're not even done yet. Donnie Bell in the shotgun, looking to go to work. He's been looking good, finding Senor downfield, and is going to reach that 50-yard line. It moves the chains for us. So 1st and 10 coming up here as Bell will drop back. Clean pocket, finds Jake Michaels. He's slithering away from 2 defenders. Will finally be brought down across that 35. Glad to see our custom recruits getting involved. As Bell will throw over the middle, looks to Senor. Senor gets it down to the 10. In a goal line situation waiting for us here. Down at the 4. Bell looking to punch it in himself, and he does. Touchdown, Saints. And a 28-0 affair. And with 3 minutes left here in this entire game, it seems pretty good that we are going to go ahead and win this football game. But the question is, I would love to see us get a little bit of style of points, you know what I'm saying? Can we go ahead and go about getting that shutout? That's what we have to wait and see. Lazane gets it to about the 35-yard line. 2nd and short, although they do elect to pass it. Pitts making the catch and getting out of bounds. So Salt Lake City putting together a steady little drive here as we actually help them out a little bit. Madarios actually ends up being offsides. So that's not necessarily a very good look for us whatsoever, as Wasane picks up yet another first down here on the ground. As Salt Lake City, look at the audacity. They're taking timeouts like they're down 28-0. Just let this game end. Just let the game die. But I guess, you know, coach out there on the other side trying to make sure that they know that they are always going to fight towards the very end. We'll see what they end up doing here on this 3rd and 9. We send the blitz, but quarterback gets it off, finds Johnson down the sideline, and gonna get Salt Lake City for the very first time today into the red zone. They will also take another timeout. So we got one timeout left to work with, but on a 3rd and long, they don't really have much more time to waste. Clock is ticking. Gotta get it into the end zone or out of bounds at this point. Or you could just give up a touchdown. Johnson with a nice, nasty spin move as well. But look at this. Salt Lake City, not only are they going to get that touchdown, they're also going to go grab that 2-point conversion here as well. As Parker looking around, just going to go ahead and run it in himself, or at least try to, but will be denied sorely. But a great bowl win for us to end year 5 as we beat Salt Lake City 28-6 in the MGN Sports Bowl. So it does feel good to say that we finished this series on a high note with that great bowl win. And in the 5 seasons that we ran the South Louisiana Dynasty, including this 3-year sim, we never finished below 500. 4 bowl games, 5 seasons, a national championship appearance, and to go with that, an actual national championship. And even though this wasn't the longest series, I certainly had fun with it. I hope you guys had fun with this series. Check back in a couple days from now. You're going to still want to like. You still want to hit that subscribe button. Even though this series may be done, we got some great stuff in the pipeline for you guys. So I hope you're ready for that. And if you are, smash that like button and hit me up down in the comments down below. And also hit that subscribe button if you're brand spanking new. This is John J. Gaming on the mic signing off. I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.